Okay, so with this video, what we're going to learn to do is to test and use our installation of Code Composer Studio and Visual Analyzer. If you haven't installed Code Composer Studio or Visual Analyzer yet, you need to go to the first video. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to execute Code Composer Studio. Then we're going to go to the website and download the sign example. So I'm going to do that. So we're going to put it on my downloads. And then inside Code Composer Studio, you're going to go to File, Import, and then you're going to go to this Code Composer Studio folder, and then go to CCS Projects, hit Next. You're going to go to Select Archive File, and you're going to browse to that zip file. So when you download that zip file, don't unzip it. You're going to import it as a zip. And then hit Finish. This will import it. Then what we're going to do is go to Project and hit Build Project. And if the installation is okay, you shouldn't get any errors. Alright, so before we execute the program, what we need to do is we need to make sure the board, so I'm looking at this screen down here in the corner. You need to make sure that the board is installed. So you need to make sure that the USB cable is connected to your computer. And then you also should have the cable one of the audio cables connected to the line in jack. So if you look at here, you should have it connected to the line in jack and another cable connected to the headphone jack. And the headphone jack should go to, I know it's kind of hard to see here, but the headphone jack should go to the mic in jack on your computer, and then this line in jack should go to the headphone jack on your computer. So just to repeat, the headphone jack on the computer should go to the line in on the board. The headphone jack on the board should go to the mic in on the computer. Okay, so that's this blue line. Alright, so it's imperative that you get that correct. Alright, because the reason why we're doing that is we're going to send a sound out of the headphone jack to the board, and that's going to go to line in. Then that's going to be processed by the DSP and sent out through the headphone jack into the mic jack on the computer, so the computer can receive the process signal. Okay, so it's important. For this particular example, though, we're really only using the headphone jack, but in some of them we're gonna be taking signals in from the computer. So you might as well always just set it up this way. Now, if you're using, so this is a desktop. If you're using a laptop, if you don't have both of the jacks, what I did is I provided you a USB jack that has a headphone jack and a mic in jack on it. So it's the same thing, but you just need to install that little USB device first. Alright, so once you're sure you have that done, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Code Composer Studio and we're going to hit this little bug, this debug. And what that's going to do is it's going to open an emulator on the board. So if you see something like this where it's showing this little blue arrow next to main, you're good. So what we're going to do is we're going to, before we run this, we're going to go ahead and execute Visual Analyzer. So depending on if you have a 32-bit machine or a 64, probably you have a 64-bit, that's the more common. You're going to run VA64, and it's going to bring up something like this. So a few things we're going to do is we're going to, let's see, can I move this out of the way? Alright, we're going to turn this thing on. Well, first off, let's set the settings. So we need to make sure that, so if you look inside the code, this one's being sampled at 44.1 kilohertz. So we need to make sure that the settings are the same. So you're going to go to settings, and you're going to make sure the sampling rate is 44.1. Hit OK. And then we're going to turn this one on. Right now you won't see anything. You'll just see kind of junk. Oh, it's getting my mic input, so I need to change the input of this. Let's turn it off. Go to input, and so right now it's getting the webcam. I want to make sure that it's getting from the onboard mic jack. So I'm going to right click on this and put set as default device. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK, and when I turn it on, now it should just stay flat. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is go back to Code Composer Studio and run the program. And what this program does is it just output a sine wave. So right now, up here shown on top is a time domain. We can see that we have a sine wave and a frequency domain. We need to adjust the frequency domain a bit. So first I'm going to take off log axis on the x-axis. I'm going to take several averages in this case. In some cases we may not want to do averages, but in this one I will. And so I'm going to do 100 averages, and I'm going to hit auto. And what we could see is that we have a frequency here. So I'm going to hit auto again, and I'm going to stop now the input. So now if I go and look at this, it should be about a 5.5K signal, and it is. So this seems to be working correctly. If you get this, then it's safe to assume that your installation was successful.